ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast. I am joined today with the lovely and my newest friend, Kelli Cooper of the Vine Club. Now, I'm going to say my newest friend because I have been following you for a little while. So I don't know if that makes me an Insta stalker. But now that we've connected together mutually, we're friends. Yes. Welcome. Why don't you? Okay, I'm going to have you do a quick introduction of yourself. And then I was just letting Kelli know that she is going to be the first victim of my very first lightning round. I thought it sounded so fun to do. I don't know why.
And such a great break the ice too. So.
Yeah. Easy breezy. But who is Kelli Cooper in the life of today?
So I am a newer transplant to St. George. And I've kind of lived all over. I grew up in Idaho, spent some years in Dallas, and we've just been settling in here in Southern Utah for the last 4 years. And I am a multi-passionate dreamer. I have 6,000 business ideas at any given time and so many different things that I feel like I could just live a whole lifetime on any of my ideas and things that I get excited about. But I am a photographer first and foremost in my business owning realm. And then I have started a community for female entrepreneurs here in Southern Utah because I love gathering. And I wanted to create a place where women business owners that had similar dreams and hopes and drive and ideals could connect and I could feel at home. So.
And everybody just went, now we know why Gina is obsessed with this woman because you ticked every box for my heart, aligning women, or we're finding women that align in their values and in their businesses and in their seasons. You know what's actually interesting about that? My community here when I started it, coming on 3 years ago, I thought that it would be a community full of women just like me. Because that's what we would have in common, right? We'd all be in the same season of motherhood. We'd all be married. We'd all be whatever, Christian, Republican, whatever, right? And come to find out, I could not be so happy how wrong I was because the alignment comes from this need and want and desire to become something. Whatever that is, it's in the becoming, right? It's in the progress. And that's where, okay, I'm sorry. The mom brain is next level for me.
I love the idea of being able to reset and be like, let me try that one more time.
Well, let me try that again. Now, my listeners know the mom brain. They're like, Gina, it never goes away. So at one point can you not call it mom brain? But I did just have a baby, so now I'm back to being able to call it that again.
You want to pass for another few years.
I got to pass. Okay. Let's get into the lightning round. We're going to do this. It's going to be super fun. I should set a timer for it, but I'm not going to because that would be just next level for this brain right now. Okay, quick fire with Kelli Cooper. Here we go. Okay. Morning routine must-haves.
I love to get up early and get a workout in or get movement in. I love to build in a few quiet minutes in some way, whether that's just sneaking out to my porch before some of my kids get up so I can read a little bit or just have a few moments to myself. And then I also love a nice warm drink that just helps me feel like it's like cozy. I'm a very cozy person, so something that makes me cozy, like a blanket and a warm drink is awesome.
Oh, I love it. You must be a fall fiber.
I'm like a bear. I'm like a hibernating bear.
I love it. Okay. One song on repeat right now.
Oh gosh. It's always just the most random thing. Right now it is Anything by Fleetwood Mac. I was raised on oldies and I've come back to Fleetwood Mac. So yeah.
Oh, Stevie Nicks is my girl.
Mm-hmm.
Love. Mm-hmm. All right. Favorite book that shaped you in your becoming?
Oh gosh, in my becoming.
Or even one that just made you stopped you in your tracks and you're like, duh, dang.
Yeah. I'm a big reader. I studied English in college and was an English teacher in my former life. And so I love literature and I do a lot of nonfiction, but mostly probably fiction reading. And so something that I think just shaped my identity as a person and as a reader and really inspired me was my favorite book for a long time, The Book Thief, because it is just beautiful and that it made me feel all the things in a way I didn't understand that literature could really do for me. And it's just beautiful and a very creative approach to writing that made me go, this is something I've never read before, and it makes sense and it's beautiful. So I love the book forever.
Ah, I love it. And I always love new book finds. Like that's
Mhm.
such a fun thing for me too. I'm with you. We're like pretty much the same person so far.
Yeah.
Okay, best advice another woman ever gave you.
Oh, best advice another woman ever gave me. Gosh, that's a tough one to just pull right out. Um, I think that honestly, some of the best advice I've had is from my husband, but everything that's happened told me that.
Not even your mama?
Um, gosh. Um, well, I like my mantra from my parents growing up is that has always been everything has a way of working out.
That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, and it's like, especially I've needed it lately with some big things we have going on in my household. And man, I've just needed to remember everything is going to work out. So that's probably the most lasting advice I've ever had that I love.
I love that. That's incredible.
Mhm.
All right, where are we? Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
A lie you used to believe about being a good woman that you've let go of.
I think that because I have a little bit of a perfectionist tendency, I thought I had to be good at everything or have everything really balanced. And it was a real struggle for me to feel like in order to pick something up that was heavier, I had to let go of something else or let something else fall to the wayside. I don't like that feeling that I'm not at 100% everywhere. I think that's an expectation that's unreal for women that we sometimes put on ourselves or we put on other people. And it's been refreshing for me to realize that there are going to be seasons when I'm going to be lifting heavier in one area. And it's okay that it's not going to be a consistent effort across every part of my life.
100%. One of my favorite things my women get so sick of me talking about is the Cirque du Soleil or the acrobat or whoever at the show that's spinning the plates, right? Spinning the plates. They've
Mhm.
got one on their fingers, they've got one on their nose, they've got one on their knee and their toes, and that rhymed. I'm Dr. Seuss. Anyway, these plates are spinning, right? They're not all spinning at the same rate. So which one's
Mhm.
slowing down? Which one needs the attention right now? It's like you've got all the plates,
Mhm.
obviously,
Yeah.
but one needs your attention right now.
Mhm.
So that helps me focus that. So I love that. Okay. Go to way to reset when your day is going off the rails.
Oh man, I am a very emotional person, and music, like happy music, dance party in the kitchen, gets me back in a better spirit than anything else. I
Oh, that's
just
so
really
good.
need, and I always underestimate the power of it. I can be in just the worst mood in the worst place, and just like I'm like I have to turn the Alexa on. I have to do whatever I'm doing with some fun music right now, and it fixes it every time.
Is there a go-to or do you just say Alexa dance
Yeah.
music?
No, it's always the weirdest stuff. Like I'll turn on Jason Derulo. There's always like a hyperfixated song that like the kids are like, not again. Or it might be like the Mufasa soundtrack. And that's part of the fun is I pick
That's
something my kids
awesome.
have heard way too much lately. And I'm like, here we go again. Let's do it. And
Yep.
it just is
Yep.
kind of like equal parts comedy and fun because kids are like,
How
oh.
old are your kiddos?
So my oldest is 12, and then I have a 9, a 7, and then my youngest is 4.
Okay. Yes, we definitely need to have some park time.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Two more. Your personal word or theme for this season of life.
Ooh, that's good. I can look right up at my vision board right here. But I will say presence, I think is really big right now.
Good
Like
one.
being grounded in what I'm doing and not trying to be where I am at any given moment. It's really easy to
I
come up with all the
love
things
that one
wherever I am.
so much. And do
Mhm.
you know why that's so funny that I just thought to myself, it's so opposite of what you just said to pick up
Oh,
my phone and record you because I could see you drew my attention to your vision board. We can see it in your mirror.
oh, can
And
you?
I love that. I love that your vision board draws presence to you because that is such an important thing. We just had this conversation in my community that I said, I feel so lucky that I am allowed to live in the present moments, to really, really dig into the present, to be able to ground myself in the doing, what's happening right now. But my husband isn't able to do that. Unfortunately, if you think about it, our husbands don't really have the opportunity to do that. And not all the time, I'm not saying that, but protect, provide, preside is like constantly. I could ask my husband what he sees for us in 5 years, what he sees for us in 3 years, what he sees. And there's probably 3 scenarios to each what he sees for us. It's
Yeah.
like, if this happens, this, and this. But if this happens, this, and this. And I'm like, how blessed am I that he has that covered so that I am able to be what I can be for our kids and for our family in the present moments. But how unfortunate that it's a blessing and a curse. I tell him all the time, it's a blessing and a curse because his mind never shuts off. And so a lot of times I'm trying to remind him, we're here, we're here. And something that helps him a lot is like when we're traveling, he doesn't pull out his phone a lot. Like I give him the hardest time because I'm like, okay, well, no one will ever know that I was here, but that was a really fun trip. If I die tomorrow, my kids will be like, what did mom even look like? Did we have a mom? Did we have a surrogate? Like, who was this lady that was randomly giving birth to us and then all of a sudden we never saw her again in any pictures? So I give him a really hard time about that, but that is one way that he kind of holds present. Do you know what I mean? When he can, that's a habit he has to doing that. Okay,
He's looking through his own lens instead of constantly being like, how can I document this
exactly.
all?
Exactly. Bless him. I can't do that. I got to document everything.
No, just like a year from now, I'm already going to forget what that little face looks like.
Oh my gosh. And it's one of my most favorite things. It's one of my most favorite things to go to my highlight bubbles and just look through it and look through it and look through it. There was this one time when we had first left the country. So it was probably anywhere between 2017 to 2018, 19, whatever. And travel families was not a big thing. I mean, you had the bucket list family and a few others, but it wasn't really this heard of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this couple doing it and someone hacked their account and held it for ransom. And I was like, they were talking about all this, their followers and their da-da-da-da-da. And this, I mean, how many years ago? And I was like, how stupid. That's so dumb. I wouldn't even care about any of that, but I would be furious about all of my memories.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would be furious. That it's my journaling, you know, and to have a place. So rule of thumb, everybody, have it all backed up 4 times, right?
For sure.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
What's one thing you're unapologetically not doing anymore?
Ooh. Hmm. Well, I'm an overthinker. I'm definitely trying to work on stressing less about everybody else's happiness and everybody else's um opinion of my choices. So maybe that it's just like I think it was really good for my husband and I to move away when we did. We grew up in a town where like a lot of our family's still there, and it's like a really big, many of them, like my mom and dad's siblings are all still within 30 miles. And that was a big thing to move away when we moved to Dallas. And I felt like I was kind of betraying my family a bit in making the decision that we wanted to for my little family. But it also started something big for us that we could lean on each other and make decisions on based on what we were thinking was best for my little family. And so that has helped me to stop making so many decisions based on what I feel like other people want from me and making sure I'm meeting their expectations for what I should be doing.
Right. It's about your expectations.
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
that. That is there's so much power in that.
Mhm.
Don't you just feel the weight? It's like you
Yes.
had this backpack full of boulders and all of a sudden you're like, oh,
Mhm. Yes. And in feeling and wanting that from my family, from that acceptance of my decisions from those around me, I think it also helped me see how much weight we often give our expectations of others. That so often when we're offended or we're frustrated or, we are upset about other people's choices, it's often because we're upset that they didn't do what we thought they should do
mhm,
and they're not meeting our expectations of how they should have shown up for us in that moment or how they should have, it's all about our own expectations. And so that's helped me shed some of that too. That
yeah,
it's like I'm not going to be as disappointed in those people because they're making their choices based on what they think is best. And that's
right.
what I want for me too. So
Yeah. That's a me problem.
yes.
That's a phrase my ladies hear me say, and everybody on this podcast, they hear me say is that's a me problem.
Yes.
That's 90, I will say 98, maybe even 99% of the problems. You have that maybe 1% of horribly toxic, unhealthy abuse, that kind of thing that happens that, yes, obviously that is not a you problem. That is a
Mm-hmm.
somebody else did this.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't have helped this, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, most scenarios that find myself being intentional about or really mindful about, I'm like, ooh, that's actually a me problem. We were saying it to my 9-year-old, or he's 10 now. Huh, he's 10 now. My 10-year-old yesterday in the car as he was talking about some kids that he was like, oh, I don't even want to play with them. I don't like them. And I'm like, dude, that's a you problem, man. They're just being them. And
Mm-hmm.
and we had this full on discussion with him trying to get that through his little head that get rid of this. This is a you problem, buddy. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
them problem.
Totally.
Okay, that was fun.
Okay.
Fun lightning round. Do you feel
Mhm.
loosey goosey, ready to go?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
now we're going to get into the deep of
Okay.
it. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not that serious. So I want to know what made you decide that St. George was the place for this? What was the calling to your heart that was like, now is the time? Because have you been thinking about the Vine Club for very long? I mean, has it been something that's, you said you constantly have all these
Yes.
businesses on
Oh,
your
for
mind. Has
sure.
it been something that you're like, have had it, but then, or was it something you got to St. George and you were like, this is the place?
No, the whole idea is actually kind of reverse engineered because because my foundation is photography. I've been looking for a studio space, my own studio space for like I did it when I was in Idaho. I had that during the 5 years we were in Dallas. I am like a hawk with commercial property listings. I love to look around and just envision like and not even just for my own business, it's like, ooh, that would be such a cute boutique. Like I would love to use the space for that. I love like dreaming up things. And so for years, I have wanted to start a beautiful space for photography that was not just like a technical place, but naturally lit and beautiful and like a really inspiring place to be. Like
Hmm.
the window light, the architecture, all of it. And so I've had that desire for years and years. And I had a place actually here in St. George that I was looking to create this in. And then the owners ended up going a different direction after I'd had my offer in. And so when I was like really writing the business plan for what that would look like, I was looking at all the ways I wanted to use that space, the types of shoots I would want to host there, the types of women that I would want to gather there, the different like what's the word I'm looking for? Industries that would benefit from having that space, not just photographers. And so I've been investing a lot of like heart into it and
Hmm.
really excited about the vision of like getting women there, inspiring them, giving a community to them in the space. And then when it fell through, I thought, it's going to take work to gather the women and create that community. So I may not have a space yet. And I don't know what that timeline looks like because it really is going to be something that everything has to align when I get there. But I'm just going to start building the community first. And so I just thought I'll start gathering. I'm going to start giving them a place to gather. And that's what, this time last year was really when I was laying the framework for it, building the website, like planning my first event, thinking of what that could feel like. So that's kind of where it all started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I think that's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how is your husband doing with all of this? That's an interesting question. Okay, so the reason I ask is because I just recorded, not just, I mean, a little bit ago, I had my episode come out with a gentleman, and he runs a men's community that is very similar to my women's community.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to him about, and actually I have this question here for you as well that's kind of different, but in the women's perspective. But so when I very first got into this, it was because a gentleman came to me who runs a men's community, and he said, would you like to start the women's version of this? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I was just at a place in my life where I was seeking community. I was looking for it. I had been looking for it. So my husband had planted the seeds with him because they're friends. And he's like, well, I think Gina would be great at this. Would she want to do this? Whatever. So, however, when that happened, before that happened, I remember my husband used to talk about this men's community he has, and he's like, what is he even doing over there? Like, what is he even doing? What is it? Men learning how to be men? Like, I'm a man. I don't need you to tell me how to be a man, whatever. He didn't really grasp the concept. And this is a very successful community, right? So anyway, we get into knowing what it actually is. And he asked me to start the women's version of this. Now, I'm going through all the bumps and bruises of starting a new business and all the things. And my husband says to me, and I'm like trying to get his very honest feedback. And I mean, it's not that hard. He'll give it. But he's saying things like, if you would have told me that you wanted to join a community like this and that you're paying a monthly membership for it, I would have thought, that's dumb. Get a library card. You don't need to pay to make friends, right? But he's like, but now I understand the deeper meaning of it and the deeper connections of it. And he says, I understand it. But before, I didn't understand it. So I'm a woman who's actually creating it. I am the founder of it. And he's still having this hard time when I'm starting it of understanding what it is. So how does your husband react or support or whatever?
So him and I, our brains work very differently. He is very logical and pragmatic, and he does not make emotional decisions. I am very extroverted, and I really get lit up by being around people and gathering, and it like drains his social battery to be around people. So we're already approaching life, like while we're best friends and everything works really great with the two of us, we see life very differently, and we always have. But I think the thing that makes it so there's been no resistance or misunderstanding is that he has, like, from the very first day of anything I created, just been my biggest cheerleader. And he also has taken his judgment and his his need to like oversee it out completely. Like, he's never been involved in any financial investment decisions I've made in any of my businesses, any of that decision making. Like, he's always been like, this is your thing. Like, I will support you. Like, how can I take the kids? How can I take things off your shoulders when you're in really deep and have a lot going on? And so that's lent itself both in my photography years for years and years, to now. He's the same way. Like, whatever you're building, I'm cheering for you. He's also, because of that mindset, he's not the guy that's going to like sit and hash things out and dream with me. And so that's, I think, given even more necessity to having a space, creating a space where I can talk about the things, because that's one of the ways I make decisions. I'm going to overthink things. I want to be able to talk through things. I want people who care to help weigh in on things. Like, those things are very important to me. And so that's not something I'm like seeking in my marriage, because it's never been a part of our conversation. Like, he's gonna kind of get his eyes glassed over a little bit while we're talking, because he's like, this is really great. Like, do you need anything from me? You know? And so yes, full support, but also he's not gonna be like he's never gonna be like my VP at anything I'm creating, because we don't have the same life goals in. He's not going to create a community. He doesn't feel, and he's not like your husband. He's not even looking to belong to something bigger than himself, because he very much looks inward, and he's, that's where he gets recharged. So
the I'll bring it back to, so this gentleman I was interviewing that also has a men's community, I said to him, I said, where do you think this falls in you talking to men for their wives? Because I feel like women are not only, it's unfortunate that it would fall on the husbands to not only be okay with their wives doing something like this, like you're saying, like, yeah, you do you. Good. Go on. You do you. But one step further, it almost takes husbands who encourage it and push their wives. Because what women tend to fall back on is this, oh, no, I don't need me, or I need to do the kids first, or I need to do the husband first, or I need to do all the things first. And if my thing gets in the way, that's the first thing to go, right? If I have a hair appointment and all of a sudden the only time the kid's dentist can get them in falls on the hair appointment, guess what gets canceled?
Yes.
And so I think that is one of those unapologeticallys for me that I'm trying to help women release, is the idea that their thing is not as important as everybody else's thing. It's like, my number one value is my family. Well, how many people are in my family? I've got my husband, my 3 boys, my baby girl now. Oh, there's 6 people in my family. So if I'm sitting here saying that my number one value is my family, yet I'm constantly putting myself on the back burner, I'm constantly ignoring the things I need, I'm constantly saying that the things that I have planned or I want or love for myself are unnecessary or not as important, my value is not my family. But women don't see it that way. You know, we've been raised to see it as, this is my family. And what's this over here? Like, like, what is it? So do you ever fall into feeling like that with what you're trying to grow with this women's community?
Yes. And I think I've been victim to it in different phases of my life because I feel like I'm just getting to the other side of those years when your kids need you the most, like physically, right? I know that I'm headed into a space where we'll have all of the teenage years and the big decisions and all of that stress that comes with it. But I do feel like the toddler baby years are very unique and they're very demanding, physically on us, and that it's hard to make space for the other things sometimes. And so even with my photography business, there have been years when it's ebbed and flowed, my effort in it, because I have felt the need to just like withdraw a little bit and focus on my family. And whether that's to my detriment or not, I probably could be way further along in certain aspects of my business had I not made that decision. But I also kind of stand by the idea that I love that my business can be something that's fluid, that it doesn't have to feel like a weight and an anchor all the time. And like you mentioned earlier, the main breadwinner, my husband, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that ability,
Luxury,
because he has to create that consistency. But I've been blessed to be able to have that be something that ebbs and flows in my life. And so I don't know what else.
Honestly, I think that that's what makes a more well-rounded human, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say better wife, better mother, better woman, because you're able to check in and out where you see fit. You're able to mindfully say that this is the season for this. We were actually just having this conversation because it's funny because we're going to get into what you've asked me to do for you. And it hasn't been in my season yet. It is in my 5-year plan to public speak, to be part of events. And I keep getting these requests here and there, and like this one that was just here in St. George, the Take the Lead. And I was just like, I won't be here. I would love to do it, but I will help you in any way I can. And you, happily, I'm here. Luckily, I'm here. But honestly, as a goal, it's not in my season right now. And that's not, I'm able to say, I just had a baby. This is what I want to be focusing on. This is my women's community is my priority. My family is my priority. Traveling is my priority. That's enough for me right now. But I am looking forward to when the kids are all in school, there's going to be more opportunity for me to be able to go to different events and be able to speak at different events or just be part of different events, whatever. But yeah, I actually love the power in being able to say, this is what I'm doing right now, and this is the reasons for it, and not needing anybody else to approve of what you're doing, because why would I need anybody else to approve of it? This is me. I'm doing me. So with that, in coming out of this last season and now into this new season you're working on with your mastermind, which we're going to get into talking about, how do you feel like this specific business, I'm sure your photography business shaped you as well, but this specific business is shaping you as a woman?
I think that anytime you're trying to create something you feel called to create, but don't necessarily feel like you have the master skill set for, there's always that imposter syndrome that comes with like, who am I to
Yeah.
be gathering these people? Who am I to be creating this? And I think the most exciting thing that's come from it for me, because I put too much weight in people's perceptions of me and my abilities and where I'm at in my own journey. I've been able to shed a lot of that and say, I can create something because I'm doing work. Like I get to show up and just put something together, and that lends the authenticity that I need. Like my very first event, the emails that I sent were very frightening to me because I was talking to these business owners that I wanted to pull in for sponsorships to come and speak. And you kind of just have to BS it and say, this is what I'm making. I would love for you to be a part of it. This is the vision that I have. Would you like to be a part of it? And just feel that confidence, that almost like false confidence that like, this is how
Fake it till you make it, baby.
and things like worked out and have been creating momentum. And it's not because I have shown up as this professional person, the person in St. George that should be gathering women. It's because I'm the one that I'm doing it. Like
That's why you are the woman
doing
that
it.
should be doing
Yeah.
it, because you
It's,
are doing it.
yes.
Oh, 100%. I think that 100%. And honestly, the fake it till you make it, I know you can have your pro con list for it, but honestly, what is manifesting? What is a vision board?
Mm-hmm. It
That
really
is
is.
literally faking it till you make it. It is you manifesting that you have accomplished this. It's you manifesting that you have this dream life. And what does manifesting do? Makes it happen.
And it makes some of the most unlikely things happen
Yeah.
because of effort and vision and execution and consistency.
Yeah.
And so often we forget that all these people that are showing up that we're watching from the outside are moving through it in the same exact way that we are. They are pushing themselves out of their comfort zones. They are asking for help. They're reaching out to people. They're collaborating in ways that are really stretching them and that they might feel uncomfortable in doing.
Right.
And they're creating rooms that they are a little bit nervous about. And they're making it happen. And it might seem easy on the outside. It always does.
Right.
Because nobody wants to share that side of the journey where they say, I'm making this thing, but also like I'm feeling paralyzed a little bit on the inside. Like, what am I doing? Am I crazy? Like the conversations I say for my husband or the week before the event where I say, like, I chose to do this. Like, I am a crazy person. Like, I literally did this because I wanted to. Nobody's making me do this. And
this was a choice.
Yes. And on the other side, I'm always like, wow, like I did it. This is crazy. So anyway.
I'm going to say this to anybody out there listening. My first event that I went to, because I seem like a very, very confident, outgoing. I mean, I seem because I am in most situations, but there are situations where I'm like, I'm out of my element here, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather jump out of an airplane than do certain things that like put yourself in a room with a bunch of women that you don't know that are all possibly judging. Look at the baby, you know, whatever. But so I went to my first event when I started this business, and it was in Scottsdale, and I thankfully had a little wingman. My manager at the time, Janie, if you're listening, Janie, she met me there. She came to it with me. I figured out a way so that she got a ticket as well, and she came with me, and I was like, this is a great opportunity for us to get some content and whatever, blah, 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 blah. Well, before the event, I just started reaching out to the people throwing it, the two women that were throwing it. I was just like, I love what you're doing. I 100% stand by this. This is my new business. This totally is in alignment with what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And we became really good. Like I was cheering her on and posting and sharing in her business and what she was doing, because I genuinely, that is my heart. That is why I do this, is because I think we all can rise together. I do not believe in the philosophy that it's lonely at the top. I think that's bullcrap that society has told brainwashed women to believe. I believe that we can all have each other and have the best time because we're all at the top together, right?
Yes.
So this is me. I get to this event and I'm out of my element, right? I'm nervous. I'm like, what am I even doing here? I don't know what. And here's where my mind is really the imposter syndrome is. I've just been a mom for the last, I mean, I know I have a resume, but really the people I've been talking to for the last how many years as kids, what do I have to say with these intelligent women? When I started my podcast, I'm like, what am I going to talk to Emily Frizella about? Like, you know, I talk to kids. So anyway, I go in there and I bet you $1,000 if you asked my now good friend Jennifer, who was throwing it, my now very good friend Randa, who was in attendance, my now very good friend Kira Brinton, who was in attendance, you know, all of these women, if you would have asked them, was Gina nervous? They would have been like, are you kidding me? She's like, boom, you know, like this, blah, blah, blah. And that's everybody. If everybody would just understand that we all feel the same way at some point over something. There's always
starting. You have to start.
Yes, you have to start somewhere. We just started the topic of the month for my community this month is comparison, the comparison trap. And I just started this book and it's amazing. It's called Comparisonitis, this Australian woman. And in the very beginning of the book, she's talking about, I was writing this book. I was like halfway through the book and it's crap. I've got to trash this book. And she's like, geez. And she sits down and she starts seeing that this author that she truly just loves is now on the New York Times bestseller list again. And she's like, oh my gosh, why am I even trying to create when these people are just like crushing it, right? Well, then she opens an email literally in the same 10 minutes of thinking this to a woman who was reaching out, another author, saying, you inspire me. I'm blocked. I just don't know why I'm doing this or trying to do this. You're amazing. You're such an inspiration to me. And she's like, is it possible that we are all at some point thinking the exact same things? Yes, that's human nature. It is exactly. It's like a mom becoming a mom for the first time versus her friend who's got 4 kids seeing this happen with her. You know, we've all been there. We've all experienced those things or, you know, whatever. So that was a tangent. Sorry about that.
No.
I just think like you, it's we all feel this way, but I think you said it beautifully that the imposter syndrome goes away because you're willing to do the work. I was willing to go to that event. I was willing to put myself in a very uncomfortable situation and not know what anybody's hoping. Nobody's going to ask me to quote any new books or anything because I haven't read them yet or, you know, and it's like, you just got to jump. At some point, you just got to jump. And then once you do that, it's like lifting weights at the gym. It's like, okay, whew, that wasn't so bad. I can do it again.
We can create of expertise. I think that's important to be able to share in your zone of genius, but I also think we can share out of effort.
Yeah.
Right? We can create out of effort. It doesn't always have to be that we have to master something before we can add value to people's lives. And I think that's where that
Absolutely.
beginning imposter syndrome comes, is like, okay, I would love to help. I would love to do mentorship or teaching in my industry, but I am not A, B, and C. I'm not that person that I've seen doing that online, or, that's creating these courses. But when we're sharing out of a place of effort and value and desire to help them, that's just as important. If we're a couple steps ahead of the people we're trying to help, we're adding value to them. We do not have to share only out of a place of expertise
Yeah,
to
that's
help the
true.
important.
That's true. I think the things that you live through, the life lessons, some of us don't even realize have happened until we're in the situation where it's needed. They're stored back there in that part of your brain where nothing gets touched. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden you tap into something where it's needed and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Come here. Open that little box back there. I can pull from this because I've experienced this. I've lived through this. And now I do have something that I can share from this. But yeah, so much of it is just being okay with the unknown and loving yourself through it.
Yeah, I love that.
It might look different than you could have ever imagined. I don't think you can ever even know what it's going to look like. That's
Mm-hmm.
just a hypothetical.
And I think in an over curated world right now, people love to meet you where you're at.
Oh
They don't
yeah.
want the perfect versions of us.
That's
And
been
so
my goal in life.
it gives them permission, I think, to be grateful for where they are when they realize that we are not the picture perfect version of, whatever they think they're going to achieve when they've mastered where we are at. That authenticity, it's beautiful when we show up with imperfection and
Oh
are
yeah.
where we are. So
Those are the coolest people. Those are the funnest people to talk to. Honestly, the
Mhm.
colorful people are the funnest people to talk to because you're just sitting there going, really?
Mhm.
Huh.
And there's
That's how you're living.
yes, there's no ego. And like, there's a difference between that confidence and being excited about what you're working on and feeling called to do something, and the ego that can sometimes come from being like really too full of yourself.
Right.
I tend to lean towards people that don't think so highly of themselves that they are, disconnected from those that are not where they are. And so I think that that's important too.
That's very important. So that brings me to, how do you curate that kind of connection in your community, in your gatherings, in your events?
Yeah, since I feel like I'm still just laying the foundation work. Um, that's a really great question. I do feel like I'm learning a lot as I'm going. Every single event, I think I come away going, okay, this worked and this didn't work. I think um, right now I'm looking for variety in the offerings so that women feel like they have something that's calling to them at that time in the space that they're in the phase that they're in. Um, oh gosh, I don't even know. Let me think about that.
I
What
know
do you,
the answer.
well, what do you think?
Vulnerability. Just what you
Mhm.
just said. It's allowing women to come together, and you're creating a space for women to come together and be open about what you just said about
Yeah.
me, seeing me where I am.
Mhm.
Like, here I am. It's
Yeah.
not me and my highlight reel. It's
Mhm.
especially what we're going to get to next, your master class that you're going
Yes.
to do.
Yeah.
It's not going to be my highlight reel of look at me, I'm a coach, I make six figures or whatever. It's going to be women getting into a room saying, how do I do this? How do I connect to these people? How do I, it's more of, listen, here's where I am. And I'm hoping that you all can see me where I am so that you can help me rise.
Yes.
And hopefully I can see you where you are, because my perspective is different than yours. And maybe I can help you rise. Maybe I've got something that you haven't got. And I think that is the beauty in your gatherings, in your events, and now
Mhm.
in your masterclass, which, let's talk about. What do you
Yeah.
have coming up?
Yeah, so I feel like my previous events really focused on getting in the same room, finding people that think the same way you do, or learning and growing together, belonging to something bigger than yourself. But I felt called recently to create something that is deeper and more soulful, but that I feel like does reach what you just talked about. It's not just an opportunity to escape from life for a night, for an evening, and be able to absorb some great information and feel like you're not alone. I wanted it to be a place where there's an exchange, where women are not only just learning, but they're becoming something different. There's an actual transformation happening. And that usually takes, like you mentioned, people being able to see you and be a mirror for you, being as invested in your business as you are. And that takes time, an investment of time, because it's really important to learn kind of the ins and outs of what each other is working on to be able to really help them. And so that's why I created this masterclass. It is a mastermind that is a 6-month in-person cohort, because I feel like the woman I'm reaching out to help, she's taken a lot of classes. She's probably sat and wallflowered in the back of a lot of different Zoom classes, and she's constantly bombarded with content. She doesn't need more information about how to fix her problems. She probably knows intrinsically a lot of the things that she's struggling with, and even probably how to fix it if she really could. I think it's more that she needs connection. She needs transformation that comes from implementing things, from having somebody be looking from the outside in to read the bottle for her, the label on the bottle, so that she can see her business from a new angle. She needs space, because I think a lot of business owners are so tied up in the tasks, in all of the things we need to accomplish, checking things off the list. I always say that we're always working in our businesses, doing the things, and it's harder to find time and space to work on our business. Looking at it through kind of like the CEO mindset, where you want to grow, where you see yourself, how you can expand. So that's what I'm creating. It'll be small. It's going to be more intimate because of that. It'll be deeper. It's not going to be surface level and just like room warm and fuzzies. It's going to be deep. Yeah. And I'm hoping it will be transformative.
I am here for it. I've kind of shifted my podcast episodes. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I have a Tuesday episode that's with a guest, and then I have a Friday episode that's just me, called To the Core. And I shifted my focus, I don't know how long ago, but I started putting in 5 steps for whatever I'm talking about, and then an action step into your life in those 5 steps. Because information without implementation is useless. You could be over here listening to all of the podcasts, listening to all of the events, getting on all the Zoom calls, being exactly what you're saying. And it's like, even if you're not the wallflower, even if you're the one that's in it and talking and trying to, but how are you relating it to your life? Joe Rogan has nothing to do with what I'm doing, but yet the concepts he talks about, I can figure out a way to implement what he's saying into my life. And it's so fascinating to me how many people aren't, and I don't know if it's they're not willing to, or maybe they can't make the connection, or maybe they just need someone else to reflect it back to them so that they can go, oh my gosh, yes, you're right in that, right? It's maybe you're not seeing it. You're too close to the problem. That's why there's that saying, you're too close to the problem. So that's one of my huge sticks with my community is action. You have to take action. You have to implement all of this stuff that you're wanting for yourself, that you're consuming. You have to figure out a way. Well, if fitness or whatever is something you want to implement, and you're listening to all of these fitness, watching all of the do this and watching the meal preps and the workouts and all the things, and then what? You just don't do anything? Are you gonna get a 6-pack? No. But and also some of these women, look at them, they train at the gym. What if I'm watching someone who's training at the gym, but I don't have access to a gym? Well, what do I have access to? I mean, figure it out. You have to figure out a way to implement this information, but make it usable for you, right? Because some women have newborns and they're up all night. They're not getting up at 5 a.m. Baloney to that. We read the, what's it called? The something morning. Anyway, that was one of our monthly topics. And a few of the moms were like,
no, I have a 5 a.m. book. It's probably not that, is it?
oh, I have it here. I can find it. But the Miracle Morning. It's called the Miracle Morning. So anyway, but a few of us who just had babies were like, F you, we're not waking up at 5 a.m. Like, that's not in the plan for us, right? But how can we now incorporate this into what they're talking about into our day? Oh my gosh, I can hear my baby. She's screaming at my 13-year-old. She's like, "You're not my mom." Well, okay, let's wrap this up. But what do you want to leave these women with knowing about the Vine Club community? Where are we going with that? And what's the next step? Where do you want them to be? Where do you want them to be looking for the information for the next thing?
So over the next 6 months, I'll have obviously a really intense focus on this mastermind and creating. And if you are feeling called to it, it's going to be for the scaling businesswoman that has a solid established business that is looking, they're kind of in an era of transformation where they're ready to add a revenue stream. They're ready to bring on employees or build a team. They are no longer, they know something might not be working in their business and they're ready to find solutions and to take a step back from being like deep in the business, deep in the tasks, and kind of become a more CEO grounded person in their business. So I'll be working with a small group there. If you feel called to be in that group, you can find me. I have information on my Instagram for that. But I also I love to use my business to highlight local female entrepreneurs. And so we will be bringing in just more incredible women who've built solid, beautiful businesses, and I'm learning from them in different events over the next 6 months. So I want to work on more just really really intimate conversations with women, with business owners, where you don't have to try too hard. You just kind of get to show up and learn and feel inspired. And then we'll also do a couple big things again where you have an excuse to dress up and get out and just feel fancy and special. So if any of those things are exciting to you, if you want to learn how to run your business better, if you want to learn from the amazing women in our community who are doing big things and belong to something bigger than yourself, come find me at the Vine Club. There will be a place kind of for wherever you are at in your business. We'll have things going for you. So
incredible. I love it so much. You know, I love it so much. I'm here to support you in any way I can. And this podcast is just the first step in that. So thank you for sharing your time with us and your vision for this beautiful, beautiful way to help women cheer each other on and feel empowered in their own lives. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great.
Thanks, girl.